Daily Words of God. The work Jesus did was in accordance with the needs of man in that age. His task was to redeem humanity, to forgive them their sins, and so his disposition was wholly one of humility, patience, love, piety, forbearance, mercy, and loving kindness. He brought to humanity abundant grace and blessings, and all the things that people could possibly enjoy. He gave to them for their enjoyment peace and happiness, his tolerance and love, his mercy and loving kindness. At the time, the abundance of things to enjoy that people were faced with, the sense of peace and security within their hearts, the feeling of reassurance within their spirits, and their dependence on Jesus the Savior, was all down to the age in which they lived. In the age of grace, man had already been corrupted by Satan, and so to achieve the work of redeeming all humanity required an abundance of grace, infinite forbearance and patience, and even more than that, an offering sufficient to atone for humanity's sins, in order to have an effect. What humanity saw in the age of grace was merely my offering of atonement for the sins of humanity, Jesus. All they knew was that God could be merciful and forbearing, and all they saw was the mercy and loving kindness of Jesus. This was entirely because they were born in the age of grace, and so, before they could be redeemed, they had to enjoy the many kinds of grace that Jesus bestowed on them in order to benefit from it. This way, they could be forgiven of their sins through their enjoyment of grace, and could also have the chance to be redeemed through enjoying Jesus' forbearance and patience. Only through Jesus' forbearance and patience did they win the right to receive forgiveness and enjoy the abundance of grace bestowed by Jesus. Just as Jesus said, "I have come to redeem not the righteous, but sinners, to allow sinners to be forgiven of their sins." If, when he became flesh, Jesus had brought the disposition of judgment, curse, and intolerance of man's offenses, then man would never have had the chance to be redeemed, and would have remained forever sinful. Had this been so, the 6,000-year management plan would have come to a stop in the age of law, and the age of law would have been prolonged for 6,000 years. Man's sins would only have grown more numerous and more grievous, and the creation of humanity would have been for naught. Men would only have been able to serve Jehovah under the law, but their sins would have exceeded those of the first created humans. The more Jesus loved mankind, forgiving them their sins and bringing unto them sufficient mercy and loving kindness, the more mankind was entitled to be saved by Jesus, to be called the lost lambs that Jesus bought back at a great price. Satan could not meddle in this work, for Jesus treated his followers as a loving mother treats the infant at her bosom. He did not grow angry or disdainful toward them, but was full of comfort. He never flew into a rage among them, but forbore with their sins, and turned a blind eye to their foolishness and ignorance, to the point of saying, "Forgive others 70 times 7 times." Thus were the hearts of others transformed by his heart, and only thus did people receive forgiveness of their sins through his forbearance.